everyone, welcome to Cat's Corner. I'm your host this week, Anna, and this week I actually have the honor of presenting a two-part mini-series. Okay, so what I was most interested in was figuring out how to show you guys how to use an emotional thermometer in two different ways with two different types of clients presenting issues. Emotional thermometers are very popular techniques in cognitive behavioral therapy. It is a way of raising a child's self-awareness of their own anger or anxiety, which is what we'll be focusing on. This week, we'll be working on anxiety. So emotional thermometers for anxiety. Most people, when you think of a thermometer, you might think of the one that's straight up and down with the mercury at the bottom. But with anxiety, I don't feel like there is a boiling point where you just burst. Instead, it's more like a cycle. In the way that your anxiety can definitely adjust and change throughout the day depending on your level of awareness and just your baseline heart rate and your brain's need to survive, essentially. So that's kind of the way that I first explain with my clients. I'm going to ask them to draw a circle on their art therapy journal, which each of my clients has an art therapy journal. Just because the work that I do, we only work for about 3 or 4 months at a time. So it's really important for them, if they're ever struggling once we're discharged, that they have this book to just refer back to at any point for, their emotional thermometers or whatever kind of, resource that they need at that moment. So have them pull out their handy dandy art therapy journal. I ask them to draw a large circle. And again, this is for anxiety. Okay. And then I ask them to draw 6 tick marks on the circle. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is not even, but that's okay. Nothing's perfect. All right, so do you see how I made just 6 tick marks? It kind of looks like a weird compass thing. It's a thermostat. Okay, and you're just gonna label each tick mark 0, 1 through 6. So 0 through 6 is great for ages, I would say 4 to 13, depending on their cognitive ability. Once you're a little bit older, late adolescents, you can go up to 10 check marks. That gives them a little bit more challenge, and also just because at this point they should have more differentiation between the check marks. So they'll just need a few more just to be able to increase their self-awareness of their own anxiety and how that works for them. Okay, so I'm now labeling my check marks 0 through 6. Okay, and it doesn't matter what colors. I like doing different because I like having lots of colors, but you can color yours any way you feel. Okay, see? All I've done is just done 0, 1 through 5, okay? Easy. And then I ask them, if 0 is your absolute neutral baseline, what does that look like? Now, for some kiddos, baseline might not look like calm. So take that into account. But we're going to say 0 is calm. Okay. And so then you're just going to go around the circle and ask them to label 0 through 5. 0 being the most calm, 5 being absolutely, most anxious they've ever felt, okay? And it is very important that they come up with these words. I do not give prompts. I let them struggle. If they need a thesaurus, they can get a thesaurus. But they have to do this part. Because really, it doesn't matter what I think it should be called. They're going to be the ones using this. So making sure that they have complete autonomy over this is what's going to help them actually benefit from this intervention. Okay, so let's say I should have come up with a few more, but it's okay. I should have come up with the words ahead of time. But that would involve being prepared, which okay. Okay, so here all I did was just make some up off the top of my head. I have 0 is calm, 1 is stressed, 2 is nervous, 3 is scared, and then 4 worried, 5 anxious. Again, this is what popped into my head while I made this. Maybe I wouldn't have put scared if I really thought it through better. But that's okay. Maybe, maybe it makes sense. It's my emotional thermometer, so it doesn't matter if it's correct or not. All right, so what's really important here in this next step is to identify some thoughts and behaviors that you have related to each one. Okay, so with this, when you're calm, how do you feel? How do you, what is your body doing when you're calm? Are you relaxed? Are you running around the room? What's going on? So, calm, maybe you're happy. Maybe you have a smile on your face. Maybe are just kind of feeling yourself, whatever. So, we'll say calm. Relaxed and smiling. Okay. And all right. So then once you find your baseline, it's like, okay, so what's that next level up? When you're stressed, how do you feel? How does your body react? Do you start fidgeting? What about your heart rate, your breath? All of those things. Do you start raising your voice? When some kids, when they start to feel anxious, they become very irritable. They might talk back. They might cry. All of those things. So you're just going to go through that step by step with them, just to get a feel of all of those different levels of anxiety. All right, and you do all of that on the outside of the circle, just like I did with calm. It's all on the outside. And once you have all of those filled out, you're going to go inside the circle. And this is when you actually start to bring in coping skills. Maybe you haven't learned some coping skills yet, depending on the type of therapy that you're doing. Maybe you're just a teacher hoping to help a kid learn about emotions, and you haven't really taught coping skills. So this can be, it can vary depending on who you are and why you are using an emotional thermometer. But for instance, if you're calm, what are you going to do to stay relaxed? Maybe you do some deep breathing. Maybe you listen to music. And I like to also kind of change this around a little bit. Inside my circle, I like to keep it all the same color as calm, because remember, everything that we're doing is trying to dial us back down to 0. Okay. All right. And then, so you would increase all of your coping skills. So maybe you listen to music. When I'm stressed, I start my deep breathing. Maybe I go for a walk. All right, when I'm scared, I start doing some grounding exercises. Worried, maybe I meditate. Maybe I do mindfulness. And then maybe once I'm all the way up at 5, anxious, I might do some progressive muscle relaxation. Something like that, you know? Oh, I forgot to do a grounding exercise for nervous. Okay. Once I'm nervous, maybe I do some chicken fingers. If you've never heard of chicken fingers, you know it. It's when some kids start to get really nervous, they start to get antsy. Their body is literally telling them to get moving, right? And sometimes, we say, oh, you should be still, you should be mindful. But sometimes your body is just telling you what it needs already. So maybe the answer is to get active. And so chicken fingers kind of helps you fiddle, right? It's why fidgets work, because you're fidgeting. So, okay. This is a somewhat completed emotional thermometer dial, okay, right? And it's a great way to remind kiddos that they have control. They can go up, they can go down, they can adjust their anxiety levels depending on what they do about it, okay? And they can go all the way back to calm. Even if they're at a 5, they can go back to calm, they're not going to explode. They have complete control over their own thoughts and emotions. So this is how I complete a emotional thermometer for anxiety with kiddos. All right, so I really hope you enjoyed part 1 of this emotional thermometer adventure. If you like it, make sure you go ahead, hit subscribe, so that you get your update when I release the next video next week for emotional thermometer for anger. I'm really excited. So go ahead, like, subscribe. See you guys next week.